And honestly, like in Alberta, you're not gonna win talking about defund the police. Even if you talk about defund to refund and you use better words or whatever, people hear it and they just, it's a conservative place and they shut down. They're like, wait, you don't want police? Well, I want police. I'm not a complete police abolitionist. I want some police because there are circumstances that you need to have, in my opinion, police officers. When you have, for example, a serial killer, I don't think sending a social worker to arrest a serial killer is going to be very effective. Call me silly. But I feel like we use police way too liberally across the liberal. That's the wrong word, but it's the right word, but it's the wrong word. We use them way too much across the spectrum of social problems, and we get what we pay for. And oh, do we pay? Our like everywhere else, our biggest ticket item on any budget is law enforcement, and the law enforcement is exactly the same as everywhere else, where they focus on what they call high crime communities, which is hilarious because it's not like rich white kids living in fucking wealthy communities aren't smoking drugs, or and not just weed, but doing the same fucking shit. When I was a kid, I never saw cocaine until I saw rich people doing cocaine at a party I was at. The poor kids I knew, the bad kids smoked weed. Ooh. The idea of cocaine was like the furthest thing from my mind, except for the rich kids. Kids go to poor neighborhoods to do drugs. No, man, the rich kids do drugs in their neighborhood, which is safer for them because they know there's no cops. They don't have to worry about running into problems. Not only that, but it really depends on what you consider crimes, right? If we're going to say that drug offenses are nonviolent crimes, which I think is a very, very reasonable take to make, then let's look at other nonviolent crimes like, I don't know, wage theft. I bet a lot of wage theft happens in the poor communities, right? No, it probably happens in the rich communities by the rich people living in the rich communities. But we don't go after wage theft, so we don't factor those numbers in, and we go, oh yeah, boy, those rich people neighborhoods sure are safe. Well, they're full of criminals, just different kinds of criminals. That's an important thing. Food ghetto, anyone? I don't know what you mean by food ghetto. What's this class system BS you're pushing, Lefty? Well, it turns out, I don't mean to be the one to startle you about this. I am Canadian, because I know this is all brand new hot takes, but it turns out class is real, and I don't have any, but there are other people that have class, and they're wealthy, and they get away with murder, and that's sometimes literally like what was the famous case here? Rich socialite shoots her husband. I can't remember her name for the life of me. Oh my god, this was like huge news for the longest time. Rich socialite shoots her ex-husband, and then he says, "Oh, I went into a fugue state," and I think she served 6 months in a mental hospital, where they were able to very, very quickly and astutely ensure that she was fine. Everything was good. No need to keep her locked up for the murdering of people. That's a thing. I'm all for rehabilitative justice and for the idea that maybe we need to reassess how we do sentencing for things. So, like I was talking about earlier with the whole idea of you don't get out until you're not going to reoffend. And in this Dorothy Jowdry, is that right? Let me just make sure. Jawdry, I think. Let me see if I can find that on the old YouTube phone. Or not YouTube. You know what I mean. Oh, hit play on the craziness video. Dorothy Jowdry. Oh, she's dead now. Deeply saddened by mom's untimely death. Mom passed away. Blah 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 blah. That's not going to tell me what I need. Yeah, socialite who shot oil tycoon husband from the Globe and Mail. Yeah, so are there so you'd be okay putting Putin on a rehab program, or are there limits? Well, yeah. In a world that is perfect, like I'm describing, which of course is not the world we live in, what makes Putin dangerous? He is the leader, the elected leader, quote unquote, of Russia. He has access to a massive military. He is completely off his kettle when it comes to being a dangerous narcissist. So yeah, I would put him in a rehabilitation program, and I wouldn't let him out until such time as we felt that he wasn't a risk to reoffend and re-bring the world to World War III. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's a solid take. Realistically, I'm not talking about like everyone gets to do basket weaving. I'm talking about, violent criminals should definitely be sequestered away from society. Drug users and drug offenders, all right. I don't even think those should be criminal charges. But if we're going to put people in jail, we better be putting them in a jail setting where we can understand and work with and hopefully get to a place where we are comfortable letting them back out. But until we are, they shouldn't be back out. Dorothy Jodry was unlikely to reoffend simply because she wasn't a hardened killer. She was somebody who killed her ex husband, and she only had the one. I'm not saying she couldn't reoffend, but I think it's a fairly reasonable thing to say. You know what? What are the odds that she's going to kill somebody? Probably pretty goddamn small. Putin needs to have someone in his ranks treat him like Rasputin. I don't like that I think that way, but I don't see any good coming from him. Continuing on. Yes, unchecked evil is. It ain't gonna suddenly just go. You know what? I'm doing evil. I should stop. And I feel like the people around him are the only hope there is, because every time there's an election, he wins handily by murdering his opponents and whatever else. Sign of a good democratically elected leader. He has the reins of power and he abuses the reins of power, and until he is stopped from doing so, he will continue to do so. This ain't a shock to anybody. So yeah, if we're talking about, I love indigenous cultures have done this a lot lately, where they've been exploring using indigenous. I don't know if it's like using indigenous culture or what have you, but like rehabilitative justice for people with certain charges that will go to a non-jail type of environment, but it's still like a jail type of environment, but it's inside indigenous communities and with a focus on reconnecting and healing. I think that is fucking brilliant. And let me be the white guy who says, "Wow, turns out indigenous people have a better answer than we do." That's fucking awesome, and we should be emulating that. That kind of rehabilitation has been proved to be really effective. There are exceptions. Psychopaths, we haven't figured out how to rehabilitate yet. There is ways to do it, I guarantee you, but we're not there yet. And I'm fine with the idea that a person who is a psychopath, who has acted in psychopathic manner and broken, violated laws and put the public at danger, should be put in a place where they are isolated from hurting other people until such time as we feel comfortable that they won't do that again. I'm definitely biased when it comes to domestic abuse and domestic murder. My father's 25 life sentence ends in 2026, and I still just want him to remain where he is until the end of time. But I also believe he is not a rehabilitated person, but rather someone who knows how to maintain appearances. And that is the rub, right? Part of the problem we have is, how do you trust that rehabilitation has been rehabilitative? Are you seriously suggesting we take our prison budgets and put it into doing good? Damn, Jim, you're so close to not being Rhombus. I would argue. You know what? We're going to switch for a moment. We're going to have our Rhombus moment because it fits right now. So welcome to the Weekly Rhombus. Today's Weekly Rhombus has a particular theme, and that theme is consistency. Consistency. All right. So welcome to the daily or the weekly rhombus. I said daily, but welcome to the weekly rhombus. I feel that it is important to be consistent. I feel that we should be looking to the things that we believe and the things that we do and the things that we hold dear. And we should try to be consistent with applying those, not just to the things that matter to us, but to things in general. So, for example, if someone believes in small government, but they want to increase government overreach for police, for example, that is not consistent with their core values. I believe that we need to strive for consistency. And rhombuses, we strive to be consistent. And the corollary to that is that we also accept and learn from our human failings. Rather than freaking out and throwing the towel in or anything else, when we are inconsistent, we go, oops, I need to do better. This has been the Weekly Rhombus. Consistency. That was fun. I've never done that before. Rhombus walk their talk, baby. Rhombus on, Jim. Absolutely. I would say rhombus is roll on hard, but rhombus isn't really a good rolling structure. There's a lot of flatness. First off, I want to say thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It really does help me out. Thank you to my patrons that support me on Patreon. I am a little streamer, and these people are all really awesome for supporting me. I try to put up stuff at least once a week, and I live stream every Saturday at noon Mountain Time on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, like an old man. Again, thanks for watching, and have a kick-ass day.